right, all right, all right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! In a room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Authors with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the MisFitNation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up. This is our song. Yeah. This is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed. That's the misfit way. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. It's Aubrey right now. We're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We are the MisFitNation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fire, from the fight to the end. We are the MisFitNation. Every voice is fabrication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home. You belong.
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation Thursday after dinner edition, coming to you live from Leesville, Louisiana. We have a great show lined up tonight. Remember to keep the families of those 4 soldiers that were taken from us this last weekend in strikes in your thoughts and prayers. Their friends, family, relatives, those fellow soldiers that were with them. Sudden change isn't easy. They know what they signed up for, but they don't think it's going to happen. So let's keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. Tonight, our guest has lived a life that most people only seen in movies. For nearly 20 years, he served as a United States Army Special Forces Green Beret with the legendary 5th Special Forces Group, and then later with United States Army Special Operations Command. His career took him across the globe with multiple deployments to Iraq, Afghanistan, and other high-risk locations, where he operated alongside some of the most elite warriors in the world. But his story doesn't end when the mission stopped. He is an Arabic speaker, a graduate of Georgetown University with a master in applied intelligence, a lifelong student of history, an adventurer who lived and traveled around the world, and even a volunteer archaeologist. Now he's taking everything he's learned from combat intelligence, history, and human nature and channeling it into fiction as the author of the upcoming military thriller, Desert Heist. Tonight, we're going behind the scenes of special operations leadership under pressure, transitioning from military service, and what it takes to turn real-life experience into unforgettable stories. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and welcome United States Army veteran, Alex Dekker. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. And we had one connection. We both served some time in the mud on Fort Campbell, and we're both graduates of Georgetown University with masters. So we got 2 links there. So outstanding. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
So Alex, I gave the dime store novel approach about you right there, the intro of you. Just fill in some of the blanks to the why you chose the Army and the Special Forces route and how we got here.
So I was raised as an Army brat. So my dad did 30 years in the Army. Before him, my grandfather was in the Army in the Korean War. So service is in the blood, and Army was always kind of the predestined route, I suppose. Go a little step farther, and I talk a lot about the importance of fiction and the influence of fiction. I had a lot of fictional influences in my childhood, especially growing up, a child of the 90s, of these special operations type guys. And that all kind of helped propel me, I think, towards that career path as well.
Outstanding. That's a lot of service, over 30 years in service, then you almost 20. So that's a lot of service just within your household. That's amazing. And you went into you be a lifetime student, lifetime learner, and now a fiction writer. Did you ever think you'd be a writer when you were growing up, or is that just something that came to you while serving?
No, absolutely not. It was never a plan. Honestly, I thought I would just do the military as long as they let me, until they kicked me out, and then I'd probably go do something else that was very similar to that. I never thought I would be a writer. Honestly, the book came to me during a lull in between deployments. I did it sort of as a creative exercise, and then put it away and didn't think about it again. It wasn't until a bit later, when I let some people read it, let my now wife read it, and some buddies in the unit, and they said, "Hey, you might have something here," that I thought I might have something here, and kind of learned about the process of how does one get published, and Googled all of that, learned about the process, sent out some query letters to literary agents, and that kind of kicked off the whole process from there.
So you wind up on basically a roller coaster ride when you're writing, getting your manuscript ready, doing the query letters, and hoping that someone bites on them. And luckily for you, Simon and Schuster did bite off on you, and they've been pushing you out pretty well. I mean, they wrote me right away once I had a read on last week. They said, "We got another one for you." I said, "Okay, you never sent me one before, but this is awesome." I said, "Thank you." So it's awesome to have that backing behind you once they're with you and have you in their corner. You're in your corner. It's amazing to have that backing behind you and push forward. And of course, having your wife's support behind you and your brothers who you served with to tell you, "Hey, you got something here. Let's get this moving." How did that feel when I told you that?
Oh, absolutely. Giving it to my now wife, I gave it to her when we were still very much in the courtship phase of things. And I think that was probably a bit of a nervous moment. You tell, nervous for me. I told her I wrote a book. What if she doesn't like it? I think it was nervous for her. She probably won't say it because she's too nice of a woman, but it's probably a bit nervous to get that. And, what if I don't like it? How do I tell them, kind of thing? So I gave it to her. She liked it, fortunately. But then, does she like it, or does she like me, or does she actually like it? When I gave it out to some of my teammates and guys in the unit and the organization to read, they give candid feedback. So that's, I knew I probably had something there. As far as working with the team that I have, I'm very fortunate. I like to say that I was able to work with the elite of the elite in the special operations community. I work with the elite of the elite within the publishing world now, whether it's my agent, Alexander Machinist at CAA, Emily Bessler of Emily Bessler Books of Atria Simon and Schuster, David Brown, my publicist. The whole team is just absolutely amazing.
That's great to have that whole team behind you. It's much better than trying to do it on your own and hope and have that hope and prayer, a lot of hope and prayer along the way. And really, a lot of people do it and they don't get that home run like you're in the infield right now. It's going to be a home run once it releases. I can see who they have you lined up with on Amazon, so they have you in the right area with some pretty big names right there on Amazon right now. So as soon as yours drops, you're going to be good.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a great team to work with, and everybody. It's obviously a very different experience from the military, but it makes the transition. I went literally from the Army to this with no pause in between. So working with such a great team makes that transition very smooth and very easy.
Yeah, I bet it does. And look where you are now. I mean, you're a week or so away from the release of the book. It's the end of this month it comes out, correct?
Next Tuesday, the 28th of July.
Nice. That's gonna be like your newest baby being born. You know? And then you're going to go hopefully on a book tour and go around signing things. Is that in the books as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of things lined up for that as well. So I'll be going around the greater DC DMV area on release day and signing some books at a couple of different places. And then I have a couple of book events lined up, one at Bethany Beach Books on August 1st and Fountain Books in Richmond, Virginia down on August 8th.
Nice. That's outstanding. I had Thomas Baird was on here, an Army veteran, and he was on the show, and then he released his book a couple months later. We did his live release on the show, a 2-hour live release while he did a book signing in his hometown. So it was pretty good to be involved with it and
that's awesome.
Be invited to the table for that. So it was an awesome feeling. I know that you're going to have those same feelings along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to, this is the first time for everything, right? Back on the teams, if you had a first time experience, first range, first jump, whatever, it was a case of beer. You owed the team a case of beer. Fortunately, I don't think Simon & Schuster wants me mailing them cases of beer, but if they did, I would be having so many firsts right now that I would be just buying beer continuously, essentially. So very cool to see all of this. Very, very cool to see, when I got the ARCs, the early editions out, and then recently within the last week and a half, I got the actual hardcovers. To see that in its final print form is awesome. To see the cover, designed up was great. So everything is just a first time, and it's really special, and it's pretty awesome to see all these things. And then on July 30th, so it's releasing with Simon & Schuster in North America on the 28th. July 30th, it's releasing with Penguin Random House UK overseas, in the UK and well over a dozen other territories. And so those copies are still yet to come too, and I'll get to see that. So just an awesome experience.
That's outstanding. Like you said, if you had to buy a case of beer for everyone that was in your corner, or for the first, you'd have a truck behind you driving as you drove to friend and emptying that truck. So
exactly.
You don't do that anymore. So you spent years leading and serving in environments that most people only can dream of, like you said earlier, watching those great movies in the 80s and 90s, Rambo or whatever other special ops movie you guys watched, and where mistakes have life or death consequences where you were. It wasn't just Hollywood. What's the biggest leadership lesson you've learned that applies just as much in everyday life as it did on the battlefield?
That's a great question. Probably the biggest lesson, I think, is to learn from your successes and learn from your mistakes. Especially in a new environment, right? In special operations, you're always in a dynamic environment. There's always something. There's a lot of things you've seen before. There's always something that you haven't seen before. Not everything always goes according to plan, and that has consequences. The important things that you learn from whatever happens, from whatever you didn't catch or what mistakes were made, and you don't repeat them, and you build on that and add to the larger, broader community's knowledge. It's the same kind of thing in here. It's very much a process of learning as you go. It's a whole new world. Just entering the publishing world in general. It's kind of funny because in the military, we have our own subculture. We have our own vocabulary and acronyms and things. And I think a lot of people had experiences where a civilian or a contractor or whatever it is steps into that world and they don't quite know what you're talking about, and you have to pause and then explain it. I'm now that person in the publishing world. So I've found myself either on Zoom calls or on email chains, and they're using certain lingo, and I have to be the guy who says, "Hey, what does this mean?" And they're kind of like, "Oh, that's right. Alex doesn't know this world. We'll explain it to you, how this whole process works." So I'm learning a lot as I go about how everything works, how everything is done, and trying to retain as much of that as possible for smooth transition and for as I go along. For example, next year, book 2 in the Nate Wild series comes out, and I'll hopefully be a couple steps ahead of that with everything the process is, whether it's input on cover design or copy edits or whatever it might be.
And it definitely won't be all new again to you.
Right. Well, no, you never want to be the weakest link in the chain. I think I'm probably the weakest link in the chain right now. It's a Simon & Schuster, Atria, Emily Bessler book is a nice, well-oiled machine. I'm kind of the gunk in it. That's keeping it from functioning because I'm still learning. So hopefully I can, learn that process a little better as I go.
you're coming in as that nug coming in there to their world, and now your next phase you'll be a little up that ladder of the world, and not so much the nug, but have some knowledge of all the ins and outs of what happened on this book to help you with the next book and the one beyond that.
Right, exactly.
And hopefully everything else gets a little smoother, a little less new, and a little more different excitement as you go forward.
That is the plan.
A different level of excitement. We talked a little bit about your smooth transition going right from Boots into being a published author. A lot of people can't say they've done that, obviously. How did you navigate that as a transition without getting distracted by anything on the outside?
I think staying focused, right? It's the military does a decent job in your last 6 months to a year of giving you some breathing space to try to accomplish all the many hoops and hurdles you have to get over to get out of the military, which is practically a full-time job in itself after a 20-year career. And so, I was able to focus on that process, but it also gave me a little bit of that space towards the tail end to start building up for, this whole process. I wrote Desert Heist, and I wrote the second book long before I thought I was going to do anything with either of them. And so in some ways I was a step ahead in that those manuscripts are completed and just waiting for the editor's input and then copy editor input. But it gives me that time gave me that time to do both, to focus on leaving the military, as well as focus on getting Desert Heist out the door to publication.
Now, what was your biggest challenge in the process? Was it finding that copy editor, or finding that editor that really worked well with you, or was it actually getting linked in with Simon & Schuster?
My process was maybe atypical, I think, of most people that go out and try to get published. So I put I queried literary agents, sent a couple, maybe a dozen or so query letters out to different agents just to kind of see. At this point, I wasn't committed to necessarily getting out of the Army immediately. I also wasn't committed to publishing. I was just kind of seeing what was out there, what the possibilities were. And I was fortunate enough. I got, from those dozen letters, I got a little bit of interest. I got a couple no's and I got some silence. But my agent, Alexandra, emailed me back and said, send me the entire manuscript. Let me read it. She read it over a weekend and then emailed me back and said, I love it. Let's work together. I have somebody who I want to send the book to, who I have in mind for this particular book. I just need to wait for the right time. And I said, okay, you are the expert and I trust you. It was about 7 or 8 months, and I was actually on my honeymoon in Hawaii when my agent called and said, Emily Bestselling loves your book and she wants to talk to you. Can you do a Zoom call in 10 minutes? And so, yeah, exactly. So I was like, absolutely, I can. And then I was digging around for my nicest, cleanest shirt that I brought to Hawaii, and put that on, had an hour-long Zoom call with Emily Bestselling. She is fantastic. Had a great conversation, and my agent called about 10 minutes later and said, she wants to do it. Let's get the gears in motion. And so that kind of kicked everything off. So there wasn't a lot of shopping around. I was kind of essentially immediately put into the system. And then Emily Bestselling is my editor. And then the Atria, Simon & Schuster copy editors and publicity team and all of that all are part of the package.
That's outstanding. And again, you gave her your now wife the manuscript when you were dating. Then you're on your honeymoon and you get this. It's a surprise for both of you. It's great news, obviously, but you're on your honeymoon and you get to do this. And I'm sure she was happy for you. And at the same time, let's get to the beach.
Well, so fast forward 9 months from that point, and my wife and I are on vacation in Majorca, and I get a call from my agent again, who says that Roland White of Michael Joseph, which is an imprint of Penguin Random House UK, read the book, loves it, wants to do a phone call. Can I do a call in 10 minutes? So I did a great phone call with him, and got the call immediately after that Penguin Random House UK wanted to pick up the foreign rights for the UK rights. So the running joke that my wife and I have is that we need to keep traveling overseas so we can keep getting different book deals.
I was just going to say, keep going on vacations. You'll keep getting those huge deals and great calls.
Exactly.
Not the ones that people dread getting. You get the good ones when you're on vacation. So that's amazing. When is your next trip so we know when to hear the next news?
Let's see. I mean, next international trip, I guess, to be to Canada to Calgary for BoucherCon 2026. Just got word I'll be sitting on a panel there, so that's great. Then beyond that, probably gonna go after the new year, I think, go and do some on-site kind of book research. So, which I can't exactly say where yet, or that'll give too much away of book 2. But
you don't want to leak too much until the preview video comes out or the actual book comes out. People still want to dig into it. And it's still going to stay along with the same lead character in Desert Heist as well.
Yes, so this is kind of the Nate Wild series, and so him and a lot of the other characters will continue to find themselves in different situations that are somewhat along the same theme.
Now, when you were writing this book, did you take any characters in the book and were they developed from dudes you got to serve with, or maybe a combination thereof, some of them in there?
Very much a combination of people that I've worked with, and some of the characters. And the character of Tim is the Special Forces weapons sergeant, and we call them 18 Bravos. That's their MOS. 18 Bravos have kind of a personality of their own, and so Tim is just kind of the whatever you want to call it, the ideal 18 Bravo, who has all kind of those characteristics that you expect him to have. He likes to shoot the gun. He gets a little bit bored on a lot of the nuanced stuff and some of the intelligence brief type stuff. He just wants to go do the action. So it's kind of not quite a caricature, but definitely a strong impression of what a Special Forces weapons sergeant is. Shane is the engineer sergeant. Engineer sergeants are kind of, they build stuff, they blow stuff up. They're also responsible for all of the team's equipment. And because of that, they tend to develop this kind of wheeling and dealing, kind of greasy personality where they can get you whatever you need. Just don't ask them how they got it, because they know a guy, or they know a guy that knows a guy. And so Shane Price in the book is very reflective of that. Wally is the British character, and he's kind of thrown together from a lot of different British operators that I worked with, and kind of the interactions that my team had with them, as far as some of the not understanding each other's versions of English or whatever it might be. So definitely just kind of pulled from all of my experiences.
Definitely. And you got to work with the 5th Special Forces Group for 7 years, and then you went to USASOC. Is your time at the group level, do you cherish that time better, or the time when you got to USASOC, or is it a combination thereof to bring all this together?
It's different. When I left 5th Group, I had an opportunity to do some great and amazing things. I also had a great time at 5th Group, and there really is no replacement for being on an ODA, Operational Detachment Alpha, Special Forces team. That really becomes your second family, and you spend 6, 8, 9 months a year with these guys. You're training together, you're deploying together, you're going TDY together, and so your ODA kind of develops its own family-like atmosphere and personality, and that was one of the things I think I missed the most about leaving 5th Group. So great experiences at both, just in different ways.
That's a lot of operator guys who are on ODAs and then move up, and that's what they say. Being with that team, the team room is an awesome place to be because of the camaraderie in there, and knowing that those dudes are there for you, and no matter what you needed, whether it's deployed or at home, they're there for you all the time. Then you got to move above that and do things at a different level, and do different things at the use of software above level.
Absolutely, and that's what. So writing Desert Heist and writing that it's very much the camaraderie between the characters is fed from those personal experiences of being on an ODA for the better part of a decade, and because of that, it is a lot of fun to write.
I bet, yes, and especially things that you can write about. I'm sure over time you'll be able to write about more things as things get cleared out and things, stuff like that. But I'm sure you had an amazing time for those 7 years there, and then of course 9 years on the other side of the fence at the higher level of defense, doing amazing things on that side too. So that's a lot of time to be on the tip of the spear. So outstanding to you.
Thank you.
We do have a question from the audience already in here. From Jaja Lewis. What is the misconception Hollywood gets completely wrong about the Green Berets or special operations?
That's a great question. Special operations writ large, and Green Berets will fall in this category, obviously, is the idea of the lone operator. It does exist in much smaller amounts, but really the strength of special operations is the team. That's what builds it. It's a Special Forces ODA. It's a SEAL platoon. It's a MARSOC team. Whatever that might be. That team effort, the team dynamic, is what really gives special operations its strength for the most part. As far as Green Berets go, a lot of people don't understand what a Green Beret is or what the core mission set is. It's unconventional warfare. So whenever you think of a Green Beret, you think generally direct action, and there is a lot of that, and that is a lot of how we were used, especially in the global war on terrorism. But the core function of a Green Beret is unconventional warfare, which is essentially linking up with an indigenous partner force to coerce, disrupt, or overthrow a government or an occupying power in a denied area. So it's kind of going into a denied area and creating essentially an insurgency, training up guerrilla forces, and then leading those guerrilla forces in battle to victory. So think Vietnam, Mountain Yards type stuff, or even post 9/11 Afghanistan, horse soldiers linking up with the Northern Alliance, where about 100 Green Berets or so with some other special operators and intelligence folks essentially had the Taliban turn tail and run within a couple of months. That's kind of the idea, is that Green Berets are force multipliers. It's a small footprint, it's very cheap, and it has an oversized strategic effect.
That's a great description of the Green Beret forces and what they actually do based on reality, not on Rambo or other single army of one guys like Chuck Norris in his movie as well. He was the Delta Force guy in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people had that misconception. I'll go in the Army or the military and become a special operator, and I'll be a lone wolf and do this stuff. And next thing you know, you're just another guy on an elite team that gets to do great things and go and try to help others defend their countries, or maybe push them to better things as well.
Right.
I've got a question. What is your background? So Alex is a retired now, a Special Forces soldier, and now he's an author. Thank you for the question, Celtos1. Appreciate you being here. So when people finish reading Desert Heist or listening to this conversation tonight, what's the one message or lesson you hope they take home with them or take with them on the run?
I would say whatever you want to do it. And that maybe sounds simplistic, but I did not think I was ever going to be an author. But once it became something that was a possibility, I just went for it, and here it is. And I do think that to a certain degree, if you have enough intention, if you put enough time and effort towards something, you can kind of will it into existence and sort of manifest your own destiny. You need to want it bad enough and take the steps to move towards it. And so I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of authors that are in all different parts of the process. I went to Thriller Fest this past year, another case of beer, and was able to talk to a lot of people that are authors or that are aspiring authors or that are writing or whatever it might be. And if you have a story like that, then you need to write it. And if you're intent on doing it, then do it. You hear all these stories. I think like J.K. Rowling's, maybe maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I think she got turned down by a lot of people, but she didn't quit. She persisted, and where somebody else might have just stopped, she kept going. I think there's probably a lot of success stories like that. And I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll keep saying it, but you can get very far in life by simply not quitting.
Definitely. And I always say on here, in any show I go on to, I quote the great Wayne Gretzky: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Absolutely.
If you just keep taking those shots, at one point something's going to land. I think J.K. Rowling, like you said, I think it was like 26 times I think she was turned down before someone said, maybe let me give this a chance. And it was a pretty good chance to take with her. So there was a good chance. And there's other authors, a lot of big time authors that also had a lot of doors slammed in their faces, because sometimes it's just not the right time for whatever person that you're querying. It might not be what they're looking for at that time, or maybe they just don't think it's what they want, and until they see it was what they wanted later.
Absolutely. Authors, actors, Green Berets. I know guys that, they didn't make it through selection the first time, and then trained up, went back. Guys that were a 21 or 24 day, whatever it is, non-select, and then they came back and went back through it and went back through all that pain and suffering. And then they made it. They didn't quit. They didn't give up. They went back and kept going, and that will get you far in life.
Yeah, definitely. Every time you say you accept a no and just quit, that gives someone else a chance to move up, because they're not going to quit, and then you're gonna wonder why. What could have been questions will come up for the rest of your life, really, because if you don't keep following your dream, it's not going to follow you.
Absolutely, it's a good way to say it.
So you spent years, of course, in special ops, and then you were writing Desert Heist while still doing that, or in between tours, basically. How did you strike a balance between keeping the story authentic while making an exciting thriller?
So when you maybe heard, I'm sure people have heard soldiers in general talk about this, that deployments are long periods of boredom punctuated by intense moments of action. And so there is kind of that lull in between, but there's enough of those intense moments, and those intense moments they're real, and it's that they stick with you as far as being something that's a high threat, high, whatever you want to call it, intensity type moment. So I just picked those out and I stuck them into the story, basically. So you don't need to create something that's crazy and over the top and grand. You just need to cut out the white space in between the exciting moments, and you can still maintain that authenticity.
I like how you said lots of boredom followed by moments, very small moments of high intensity. And a lot of people don't understand a lot of the things, the background things that go on in deployments, whether it's playing cards, lifting weights, wrestling, or other boredom relief things before you go out on a mission and things get insane.
Right.
So we have another question from the audience. This is from For Real 34. I'm putting it from one screen to another here so you can see it. We can read it out loud here. So this is from For Real 34. Of all the countries you've traveled to, which one had the biggest impact on you personally, and why?
That's a fantastic question. Different countries have had different impacts. So Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, I think have had different impacts, because those are some of the combat zones that I spent a lot of time in. Outside of that, if you're talking about just a life impact, probably traveling to Egypt. Going to Egypt and seeing what is there, standing next to, the pyramids of Giza, and looking up at them and understanding that there's a lot to history that we don't understand, and that these giant monuments have been here for we don't quite know how long and built by we don't know who. Just kind of makes you feel like you are, I don't want to say a blip in time, but it makes you feel like there's a lot more going on, almost like the historical equivalent of going out to a national park out west and staring up at the stars. You kind of have this feeling that there's a lot more going on around you than you knew. And that's I've always loved history, always been interested in history. I first, as a teenager, was able to go to Egypt and see the pyramids and a lot of the stuff out there. And that only farther ignited my interest in history.
It's a great answer to a very good question. And Celto01 asks, what's the main differences between a spec ops soldier and a regular soldier?
Well, so first there is that you're working alongside, you have to go through very hard wickets, physical, mental, whatever it might be. And so it takes a certain type of person that can pass those. It also takes a certain kind of person that volunteers for those. So you're working alongside those kinds of people. So it's a very high caliber of person, number one. After that, a lot of it comes down to training, training, money, and mastering the basics. So you have a larger budget, you can do more training, you do a lot more training. I mean, I think I spent 3 years in the regular Army before I went special forces, and I probably in my first 6 months I shot more rounds than I shot in my first 3 years in the Army. You have more opportunity. Training is put of a more importance. You're in a smaller formation and you're kind of dictating your own training schedule, so you get to do a lot of that kind of stuff. And then the last is mastering the basics. So what really makes special forces, special operations great is the training, and a large portion of that training is the fundamentals. When you do them over and over and over and over again, you get to know them. And that's everything from a react contact drill to basic marksmanship to CQB and doing room clearing. And you train so much and so intently to a point that you know whoever's behind you in the stack, you know what they're going to do when you go left and they go right, because you've done it, you've drilled it 1,000 times. So you just feel like a well-oiled machine, which gives you kind of an edge in lethality. That maybe a long answer, but that's probably the main differences, I think.
I think it was a great explanation of both sides of the coin. Having been on both sides for you, going to 3 years of conventional Army before going special operations. What was your MOS before you switched over?
11 Bravo.
You're 11 Bravo. Oh, so not a bad pipeline to go through, so it's good.
Yeah,
kind of natural building there. And then Green Beret and on beyond. I see them guys, like you said, they're at the range all the time. They're always honing the craft and honing their skills in every tool. People say, oh, they got all the toys, but they have to learn how to use all those toys. You have to learn the nuances of each toy, because when you guys go out, you don't go out with a support element like in your back pocket when you're out all alone and unafraid on a cop or a fob. You have to be able to work on that equipment or call breach back and know what to do with it. So it's a lot of intimate things you guys have to learn about each new piece of equipment that's thrown to you.
Absolutely.
So it's amazing.
An ODA is very much a self-sustaining unit. And it's designed to be that way, and it has to be that way. So the other thing is it's being in special operations in general, it's basically a hardship tour the entire time you're in there. You enjoy it, you like it, but if you're on a team at group, you have to maintain all your basic soldiering skills. You have to keep your marksmanship up. You have a language to maintain. They're going to test you on it every year. You have to test out every year on it. You have to jump. You're supposed to jump every month. If you're on a dive team like I was, you're supposed to dive and meet those quotas for that and maintain that capability. You also have a job, so you need to maintain that job. So you're the 18 Echo Special Forces Communication Sergeant. You need to know all of your equipment and your crypto devices, all of the IT stuff for computers and everything else on the team. You need to stay abreast of whatever new developments come out, new equipment. You also need to cross-train the team on all of those things, and then learn to be cross-trained on the weapons from the weapons sergeant, so that you know how to work the 50 cal and how to do if there's a malfunction, how to clear it, how to fix it, how to give IVs, and how to do advanced medical field trauma treatment whenever you're out there, tactical combat casualty care, all of these things. And you're maintaining all of these all at once while you're training, while you're deploying. It's a lot, but that is what helps create that higher caliber of operator.
It definitely does. And you guys really have your hands in a lot of different pots. Like you said, you have to cross train to each teammate, so that if one next man up mentality, you have to have that next man up mentality. Because if one man goes down, you can't just stop the mission. You have to keep pushing
For sure.
and know what you're doing. So that's an amazing trait that a lot of people don't recognize you guys have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question comes, Stepa knee pain. If someone wanted to become a better leader tomorrow morning, what's one habit you tell them to start practicing today?
Discipline. So motivation is great. Motivation only gets you so far until the motivation runs out. And when you haven't slept in 36 hours and it's raining and you're hungry and you're tired and you're cold and it's dark, there is no motivation. The only thing that gets you through at that point is discipline. So practicing discipline in whatever stages of your life that you can. You got home from work, you're tired, you don't want to go to the gym because you're tired, go to the gym. Force yourself to go to the gym. It will become a habit. You will become disciplined. Don't want to study, been putting off going back to school, whatever it is, set aside that time. You want to learn a language, set aside time, an hour every night, and do it. Force yourself to do it. Be disciplined in it, and you can achieve great things, because motivation won't always carry you through, but discipline will.
You always hear the same the saying in the military: fake motivation is better than no motivation. Fake motivation won't make you get through anything. You have to be motivated and disciplined to get over that hump every time that hump is in front of you.
Absolutely.
All right, there's questions are pumping in for you. They want you now. So this is from Manjaro. Can you share one story from your career that changed the way you see people or the world?
For sure. This is it's multiple stories, and I'll squish them together into one, basically. But I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different partner forces over the years, and one thing that I always noticed that always just stuck with me, and I always had this thought, is seeing them, whether you're alongside them or you're watching them or whatever it is, on guard duty. And you see them on guard duty, and you see them, and they're tired. They don't want to be doing it. It's just like if anybody in the military and you get woken up for fire guard or, a guard shift or whatever, it's like the worst thing in the world, because you've been sleeping just straight REM for 2 hours. You're woken out of a deep sleep, and now you're forced to stay awake in some dark thing while you're bored. So it's awful. Watching them, it's the exact same thing. And so it doesn't matter if you're US or UK or Iraqi or Afghani or Syrian or whoever you are. We are all the same across the board when it comes to guard duty, which makes me think we probably all have a lot more similarities than we even think about on a daily basis.
Yes. You brought back the flashbacks of the 2 hours of REM, and next thing you know, you're in a foxhole or standing at a guard point with your eyes barely awake, barely open, and hoping that you're not really asleep, standing up and doing the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Celtos wants to know, what special ops were you? Were you in Delta Force or Rangers? I'll let you answer it.
Yeah, I was a Green Beret. I was a Green Beret my whole last 17 years of my career. Like I said, I spent almost a decade at 5th Group. Then I went on to something else. I'm not going to talk too much farther about that. I got to do a lot of great things. There's still a lot of people out there doing great things, and anything that I say is only going to serve to compromise them. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
I was about to tell you to stop, but good. You got it right there. This next one is from Bodhi Tracksit. For aspiring writers, especially veterans who want to tell their stories through fiction, what advice would you give them about getting started?
Right. And again, that sounds simple, but there's always an excuse not to. Once you start writing and start putting words on page, things will start to develop, and it'll get better. I think I don't know who said it. I don't know who said it first, and I'll misattribute it to somebody. I think I've heard Brad Thor say it before, but you can't improve nothing. You can improve a bad chapter, but you can't improve nothing. And so, or something to that effect. So if you don't put anything down on paper, there's nothing to work on, nothing to work with. If you at least start putting stuff down, just start writing, just get it out, see where it takes you. You can always go back and church it up, edit it, do whatever you need to do to get it to where you want it to be. But the hardest part, it's just with writing, it's just like working out, just like running, just like most things. The hardest part is starting. And once you start, it gets a lot easier to keep going.
Outstanding. What do you want people 5 years from now to see Alex Dekker as? Not the soldier, but the author and storyteller. What do you want them to see you as?
Well, hopefully Alex Dekker's still out there writing books in 5 years, and they're books that people enjoy. I suppose as a lesson in, well, I guess twofold. One is a lesson in transition. It's very difficult. I've recently separated from the military. I have buddies that got out before I did, and some on their way out. And I've talked to a lot of people that have transitioned into civilian life. And the biggest thing that I see and I hear and I understand it is finding purpose after the military. Hopefully, I very much enjoy writing these books. I enjoy doing the research. I enjoy traveling for them. It really is just fun for me to write the books. So I'm fortunate that I found something that I enjoy doing almost as much as I enjoy being a Green Beret, and am able to do it. And I hope that can be a guide for others, that whatever it is that they enjoy, they can find a way to do it and be successful at it, and ideally make a living out of it. The second thing is that I'm out of the military now, but still very much tied in and connected to the community, and intend to continue to be so, and trying to give back to that community, because there's always another generation behind you that's still serving, doing their best, doing those things. I want to keep helping them out, doing what I can, and hopefully people see that and they want to do the same.
Outstanding. This one's going to be a little harder unless you had this practiced already. Without giving away any spoilers, imagine Desert Heist has just been picked up for a movie. Give us that 30-second trailer. What's the book hook that makes everyone watching say, I have to read this book?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't have this pre-planned. Nothing polished, but essentially a Green Beret leaves the military after a disastrous deployment, searches for a lost city that he believes exists, enlists the help of his former teammates to find it, and high adventure ensues.
Nice. That gets you in there. So that's enough to get people biting on that hook. So it's good right there. Let's see what we got there. Okay. Do you ever question orders, or is it automatic? And also, how deep is the conditioning soldiers receive psychologically on who is right and wrong?
I don't know if conditioning is the right word. Certainly instruction. You learn law of armed conflict and all of those things. So you have a decent grasp on what the rules of engagement are, what's right, what's wrong, all of those things. As far as questioning orders, maybe not a fair question to ask a Green Beret, because Green Berets are notoriously independent thinkers that continuously question authority and tend to resist authority a little bit. There's actually a long lineage of special operators going back to the OSS that maybe don't necessarily play nice within the military ranks and question everything. So for your regular soldier who comes in, your average private that's coming in, you want them to have the trust in their officers and NCOs that they will follow orders whenever that maybe even don't understand them. That's because they don't have the experience to understand why necessarily. Perhaps that's not to say you just act like a robot and you should be a free thinker. Everyone should be a free thinker, in my opinion. But you don't want to explain the merits of putting down suppressive fire on a machine gun emplacement while you just want them to do it, right? So there's a fine balance there. When you get into the special operations realm, and especially Green Berets, I once had an officer I worked with who said something to the effect of, if you don't almost get into a fist fight, then it wasn't a good planning session, because everybody has opinions, everybody has strong opinions, and everybody thinks they're right. And if you hold back and you don't say them, then you might not wind up with the best course of action. So, from Alex's opinion, I very much value free thinkers.
That's a great answer. And a lot of people don't understand that no one's really conditioned. You're just trained to do things that you probably wouldn't have done as an 18-year-old when you come into basic training. It's not conditioning, it's teaching you a way, teaching a new standard, and hopefully you abide to that standard and learn. Be a free thinker. Don't break the law, but be a free thinker.
Right. That's right. In basic training, there's some of that. You break down the individual and build it back up as a teammate. Essentially, it's not that you're a drone or a robot, but you're taking someone who would maybe have that sense of self-preservation that overrides everything else, and hopefully building them through the process, through camaraderie and everything else, into someone who will jump on that grenade to save their buddies. And that's not a again, it's not a drone or a robot. It's someone who has who's embodied a different sense of values and a different ethos.
Definitely. As I just realized how fast the 50 minutes has gone by here, but as we start to wind down here, a lot of our audience are veterans. There's first responders in there as well. And of course, there's a lot of everyday heroes that are in our audience, and a lot of them are podcast hosts. How do they get in contact with you if they want maybe to have you on their show, or even if they just want to pick your brain a little bit about this process of being?
Yep, for sure. So you can find me on socials on Alex Dekker, or my website, alexdekkerofficial.com, and there's a contact form there. And you can get in touch with me there as well. It'll go to the email and I can read it and get back to you.
Outstanding. So I'm showing the website now. You already have a lot of reviews on there. It looks good. You have the audiobook already coming out. Who did the audio? Was it, did you hire someone, or did you actually do the audio yourself?
So again, case of beer, pretty cool experience. Simon and Schuster sent me a list of narrators that I could look at and see who I liked, and they would ask them if they wanted to do it. I had settled on Eduardo Ballerini. He is an amazing narrator. He's a golden voice and an award-winning narrator. Just outstanding. Does some Daniel Silva, some David Baldacci. Just an amazing narrator, and I think just perfect for Desert Heist. So I said, this is my number one. I didn't think that we would get him. They came back pretty quick and said he wants to do it, and so awesome. Was super thrilled. It sounds fantastic. So if whoever likes audiobooks, he's a great narrator. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Outstanding. And our last question from the Misfit Nation is, what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
Ooh, that is a great question. Let's see. I would say, number 1, stop waiting. Whatever it is that you're waiting on, stop waiting and do it. And you probably know what that is. Number 2, practice gratitude. It's maybe not something that comes natural, especially to veterans, right? You tend to be like, the one thing that the military can't take away from service members is bitching about stuff. And so that's what you get to do a lot of time in your service. It doesn't lead to an attitude of gratitude. That didn't make that rhyme intentionally, but it is something that I think will enrich your life if you practice doing it. And the third is call your buddy. Whatever it is, talk to people, check in. People don't ask for help. The whole 22 a day thing is entirely too much. It affects everybody. I know a lot of people, we lose friends every year. Reach out, do what you can, and hopefully we can kind of turn the wave on this thing.
Definitely. And I think enough of us say enough about it. Maybe we'll turn that corner and get that light to come into the darkness, and it'll be amazing.
That's the hope.
Alex, this has been great chatting with you again, to know you, learning about Desert Heist, and learning about what's coming next, and waiting for your next vacation so we know when you're going to get that next awesome call and get that next the next thing going on, the next big thing. So we look forward.
I'll let you know.
Great things in the future. Just give us a call when you want to come back on, or if you want an announcement, send in to us. We'll put you on there as well.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Misfit Nation, as me and Alex both just said, if you're feeling that darkness, you feel those walls caving in, the world's getting too much for you, just stop, take a breath. Don't make a permanent decision to a temporary problem. Dial 988. If that doesn't work, phone a friend, reach in your wallet, take those 3 names that we tell you to keep in your wallet, call each one of them. They want to hear from you. They want to hear from you today and tomorrow. If you don't want to do that, contact us. info@themisfitnation.com, jake@themisfitnation.com, or steven@themisfitnation.com. We will keep you on the line till someone local can come and make sure you're okay. Because the day tomorrow with you is 100% better than one without you. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. Have a great night, Misfit Nation.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.